right, Infernal Blessings, we are back with another video. All right, before we begin, let's run through some quick announcements. First foremost, top thing on the agenda right now, I guess would be the 7th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. It's going to take place October 31st to November 3rd right here in Hollywood, Florida, Fort Lauderdale. The event will kick off on Halloween night with a meet and greet get together on Halloween. Friday and Saturday, there will be classes and workshops during the day. Both nights we will have a group ritual working, followed by a group dinner. And then Sunday, I'll be doing a question and answer session from noon to 4. We're going to have different presenters like we've done the previous 6 years. It's going to be a great event, great time. So again, if you want to attend live and in person, or you want to attend virtually, shoot me an email. You can sign up for that right now. That is open for registration. 7th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, keeping the tradition alive, October 31st to November 3rd. Again, good feedback, more emails, more feedback on the Black Magick Essentials 101 workshop/seminar we did last Saturday. Still looking at a date because we're also got a new hip hop occult show coming out. The producer we had on from Philly, it was a great guest. That was the best show that we did, and it was the most watched show out of all the hip hop occult shows across all the platforms, whether it was YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So we got a new hip hop occult show coming. We're going to be talking about the legacy of Sean Price, Sean P, the whole original Gun Clappers clique, Bucktown, Black Moon, which was the roots of all that. So we got that coming up in the works. We're going to go into depth of that. So the new hip hop occult show will be coming out in a couple of weeks. So look for that. I will look at a date that I can squeeze in that'll work for this second Black Magick Essentials 101, because as I said, this class we did not have time to get to everything, and I had an agenda to try to map it out for a 4-hour time frame. I thought I would be able to get it in, but you know how that goes sometimes you're building, things open up and it takes you to a whole nother place. So everybody's requesting a second class, and I will do it. Just give me a few more days trying to set a date for that with everything going on. If you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, shoot me an email. I offer various different readings: telepathic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, deity readings, to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you. Shadow work readings. Shadow work is something that's continual, ongoing. It's a great reading to do if you need a sense of purpose and direction at the moment in your life. What should I be doing now? And as I said before, I'm very strong on teaching people to design and create ritual work based on your needs first before you start focusing on your wants. The wants come once you address the needs. So that's a great reading to do. Maybe you're interested in a spiritual consultation. If you're interested in any of the aforementioned, shoot me an email at khnum19@gmail.com. That's khnum19@gmail.com. Please include in that email the time zone you are in, and please give me a full weekly availability, and we'll make a day and time work for you, okay? Also, if you want to sign up for classes, the best way to see what kind of classes I offer and how to sign up, go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3, that's the tier you want to join. That's going to give you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, in addition to the group ritual we do together at the end of the month. Also, keep in mind when you join, it doesn't just give you access to the classes from the day you join moving forward. It gives you access to everything in the archives, which is going back about 5 years now. You get access to that ritual work, that group work, all the class material, the ritual work that we're doing in the classes. So it's enough of content, work, and information to keep you busy for years, and that's not even an exaggeration. If you want to see exactly what kind of classes that I'm offering, and these classes are ongoing, continual, with new subjects and new classes being added frequently, and new content to the existing classes, go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti. Hit the collection section. You can see all the ongoing classes. Everything is archived in numerical order. and you will have the ability to see all of the ongoing classes on the Patreon page. All right, so that's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. Also, don't forget to check out all the social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, all one word. Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook. And Primordial Chaos 3 on TikTok. That's where you stay abreast of all the latest happenings, updates, classes, announcements, events. Anything that I got going on is on those platforms. Don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of that information is in the description box of this video that you're watching right now. Since we were on the topic of magic, I kind of wanted to piggyback off the last video, but a completely different topic, because this was one of the things that came up in the Black Magic Essentials 101, one of the many things that came up. So I'm just going to take this one thing and I want to elaborate on it a little deeper. Okay? Is magic all the same? Right? Because we hear terminology. There's black magic, there's white magic, there's earth magic. We hear terms like sorcery, witchcraft, dark magic. We hear terms voodoo or voodoo, working with the spirits of the dead. Well, the answer to that question is no, magic is not all the same as far as the different systems, the varying degrees of vibration, as far as when we're labeling these things light and dark, and I'll explain. Magic, in essence of what magic is supposed to do, yes, magic in that sense is all the same. But why the titles? What's white magic? What's black magic? What's Wicca or Wiccan? And it's actually Witchin or Witcha. It's pronounced wrong. Okay, what is all this? And why the different names and titles? So, as I described to you the science and the definition of what magic is, that's what makes magic across the board magic. But the different methods and practices most definitely are not the same. Okay? So, for an example, a lot of people on their journey, even a lot of people who came to a more darker path like the occult or the left-hand path, a lot of people dabbled in what we call Wicca or Witcher first, right? Which Wicca is known as a form of witch or witchcraft, as you can say. But in essence, the very essence of a lot of what Wicca represents is earth magic, because you're dealing with a lot of elementals of the earth. Not that dark magic doesn't. But for an example, Wicca or white magic isn't going to explore things like the clip pop, isn't going to explore certain rituals going into the deep recesses of your subconscious mind, pulling up certain things like working with very complex aspects of shadow work or the shadow of the hidden self. It's not going to deal with demonic integration work. It's not going to deal with working with what we're labeling darker entities, spirits, gods, goddesses, or demons, right? Because they represent a whole different aspect on this path and what this path represents, right? Because in Wicca or earth magic or lighter magic, you're working with a lot of earth entities, symbolic of that. And again, it's not that you're not, okay, I just want to make this clear. It's not that you're not in black magic or dark magic or the occult, but the occult, black magic, left-hand path, it kind of pieces it all together. Whereas in lighter systems of magic, you're not going to be working with a lot of these systems that quote-unquote are considered taboo or are considered negative, or people will use religious terms like evil, this, that, and the other, okay? The reality is, you know, a lot of that Wiccan stuff or lighter magic has its connection with a lot of New Age spirituality and philosophy. And this is where I've explained over the years, a lot of conflict comes into play. Because now, with social media, the internet, all these different social media platforms where you can reach millions of people in real time, you have what's going on today that didn't really go on to the level it's going on to today that's going on now. You have a lot of people infusing all these elements, mixing them together. I mean, I see people now taking New Age concepts, mixing it with ATRs, African traditional religions, and mixing it with occult, dark hand, left hand path, or trying to, I should say, and they do a very poor job of it, I must say. There is a difference. For an example, we could take what we know to be some occult left hand path deities like Kali. We could take Hecate, right? We could take Lilith, and I'll just use those three right out the gate. Where in this New Age kind of doctrine, they've created a very light, fluffy aspect of those particular three female archetypes. So to show you that it's completely different and it's not the same, when you're working with the aspects of those three deities, Lilith, Hecate, even Kali, okay? When you take those three, okay, and you say you're working with them from a New Age perspective, it is not the same thing if you're working with them like that. Say with the Clip-Hop, the occult, the left-hand path, it's totally different. What Hecate, for an example, represents on the path of the occult, as opposed to what she represents in a lot of this Greek goddess, New Age philosophies, two entirely different things. Wow, how does it make a difference? So you understand? Just if you're a magician and you're on a spiritual path like this, you're very open to vibrational energy and frequency. And they both carry distinct, different vibrational frequencies. Clearly distinct. It's just like when you start working a path or a spiritual practice, you start to really get locked into the energy and how it feels. Okay? It's no different, for an example, if you've been on this path for a while, and if you ever notice, you go start to read maybe books on right-hand path philosophy stuff, books that become very fluffy and New Age, you find it hard and difficult to even navigate through the book. Shit, let alone read it or be engaged into it for a long time. Why? Because immediately you sense it's not in alignment with your frequency. This is why a lot of the books I used to read years ago, and I'm a book collector and I like to save them, even if I don't read them anymore, for reference, because obviously I like to do research. I like to compare, especially when I'm doing classes. I want to have the material, etc. But I can tell you this, if I pick up a book from a previous system I might have been into years ago prior to this, immediately I can feel the difference in the energy. And immediately I can feel the disconnect, because I've come to the realization my energy and my vibrational frequency, quote unquote, is on a much more advanced level. And I just can't connect with some watered down, fluffinated bullshit. Well, magic is the same way. It's different vibrational energies and frequency. If you're working Wicca, it's not the same if you're working Clip-Hop magic or Luciferian sorcery. The energy is different. It's obvious. That in itself is the explanation that there's no way that they're the same. Okay? We need to have an understanding of that, because sometimes outsiders think it's all the same. Okay? So for an example, they use a pentagram in Wicca, but if you look closely, it's not used the same way we use it on the left-hand path. You just see an upright 5-pointed star, where in the occult of the left-hand path, as we know, the inverted pentagram, because they represent two entirely different things. So where's the other difference? Is magic different? In a lot of the symbols, the tools, the methodologies, and the approach. They're very different. Okay? Now, you might see some very minor, trivial things that are the same, like opening a ritual. You might see a tolling of the bell across the board in a lot of systems. Maybe the format, a formal opening and a closing. But outside of those very small, insignificant similarities, there's really nothing the same. Mm-hmm. Another example how it's different. in lesser magical systems that are not black magic, left-hand path, will practice things such as the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, which, as I said before, me, it's just my opinion, and if anybody's watching and you do it and it works for you, because I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there saying that's fine. I know most people as a whole who are on this path now don't bother with that stuff, but that's neither here nor there. But I don't teach it because I just think there's too many religious elements to it, working with a lot of Hebrew mysticism, working with angels and this, that, and the other. Okay, I'm not saying you should or should not do it. That's irrelevant. That's up to you. I'm just saying I don't teach it because in that alone, I started to realize years ago when I made the full-blown transition to the occult and the left-hand path, and when I was in OTO a few years back, I was doing that ritual. And after a while, as my vibrational energy started to change, it just didn't feel right doing it. It felt very religious. It's almost like my senses were really keen and locked in, and as I was absorbing it one time, when I was at that serious change in my life, I remember being in the middle of doing it. I just stopped. I'm like, this shit is religious. It don't even feel right no more. So the best way to distinguish and understand the differences between magical energy is by being able to tap into the vibrational frequency and energy of it. And there's no way in the world the energy of a Wicca type working, you can tell me is the same as something as black magic or left-hand path. Now, you have orders that practice magic. Let's just say, for an example, the OTO. Okay? I consider what they do. There is some elements, of what we might call dark magic or the occult, but I kind of look at it, in my opinion, as that gray line in between. It's definitely not light, but it's definitely not dark. Okay? And we kind of call that gray magic. It's a little term some people have come up with because it's between light and dark. Okay? So should we consider Crowley's workings full-blown occult, left-hand path of dark? Not necessarily. But I would definitely classify it on that cusp of occult. So I'm using all these concepts and terminologies to show you magic is magic across the board, but there are levels to this shit. There are stages to this shit. There are different doorways and avenues to this, which makes it different. Makes it completely different, but yet still doesn't negate the fact that it's all connected. So I think that's the understanding. Like I said, when I go back and remember when I first started getting into what we're calling magic, a lot of it was like the Raymond Buckland books, and that's probably one of the most classical books out there when it comes to working witchcraft. So I was in that kind of witchcraft or Wicca type of vibe because it's what I came across, and it's almost like that was just the process, and that was a step, obviously, to a greater step. And then, boom, we are here, right? This is how we get here, where we're at right now. So, they are not the same. Regardless, somebody might have a difference of opinion and say, well, magic is magic, because I hear this all the time. But I got to disagree with that. It's not the same. Okay? Okay? For anybody to just say magic is magic, and I get it, when you look up the definition of it, sure. But it's a little different to try to classify it by magic depending on who, quote unquote, is working the craft. Okay? That plays a large role as far as understanding the differences between magic, as far as, is it all the same across the board or is it different? It's different, folks. Okay, now I know a lot of you who are on the path know that, but there's a lot who might be ignorant, or they got spooked out, or they just don't know, right? They just don't know. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. You can see it, sense it, you can feel it, It's very obvious. Okay? Very obvious. So I think that kind of gives you, clarity needed as far as, because we hear those terms light and dark. I know it comes up all the time. What does that mean? Is it all the same? Why are we labeling things light and dark? I think they're labeled light and dark, in my opinion, because of the type of energy, frequency, and vibe it carries. Okay? And again, you might be going to do a prosperity ritual or some shit, and then you try to compare that to some hardcore ritual for Lilith, and it's like, again, it's that old saying, it's like comparing peaches and apples. They're not the same thing. Okay? So, you take it with a grain of salt. Look, as I've said before, as you get older on this path, and a lot of you young folks that are out there might be listening, you may not have the same mindset or goals as, say, somebody older or more mature, because, yeah, I get it. You're still trying to figure yourself out. You're still trying to figure out what you want to do with yourself, this, that, and the third. That's okay. Okay? It's okay. And as I said before, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them, but it's not okay to keep making the same mistakes and you're not doing anything to change anything. Okay? So, understand there are different levels to magic. Okay? Understand magic does carry a vibrational frequency and an energy, and you can, if you have the ability and are disciplined enough to tap into that energy, it's very clear to decipher between what is what. Okay? So we cannot categorize them and place them all in the same category. All right? I think I'm going to wrap this one up here. I think I covered the bases, because this question, has come up a few times in the past. And I just want everybody to have a clearer understanding. Okay? Not everybody who says they're on the occult or the left-hand path is. I want you to remember that. Because there's a lot of bullshit out there. Okay? It's no different than what goes on out here in the regular world. No difference. Okay? So, it's up to you at the end of the day to choose what kind of magic you want to work or practice. Okay? And I want to leave you with this last thing. It's just amazing to me how on a lot of these conscious platforms, especially a lot of these ATR platforms, African traditional religious platforms, they talk all this conscious shit, but they ain't teaching you anything about what real consciousness is. Okay? I find that odd, because what I've found over the years is a lot of people in those communities, it's not to be judgmental, to put it on, it's just fact, are so religious on a very undercover level that they don't even know it. Okay? And I don't understand it. It's very baffling to me. Okay? Because I think it's part of it, obviously, is a certain mindset. But anyway, the point is, one of the most crucial points of this is, as long as you understand magic, and hopefully it's in alignment with what you're trying to do in your life and on your path, as long as you understand the science of magic and how it works and how you can apply it to make great transformational change in your life, you're on the right path. So then you just got to deal with the bullshit, a little of the bullshit that comes along with it. Okay? So, long story short, the answer to the question, is magic all the same? Absolutely not. Okay? And we touched on just some of the major aspects of it. As I said, these videos are just quick tutorials. It's hard to break all this stuff down in about 20 to 30 minutes. So, I mean, this is something that can be expounded on in a further YouTube live. So, as you probably noticed, with the YouTube lives, it's about the last couple of weeks I haven't had a chance to do one, because there's a lot going on with the schedule, but I'm trying to squeeze one in soon. because I haven't been on live in a few weeks, so I definitely got to get on there. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. Again, just wanted to remind you guys about the Hip Hop Occult Show. Date coming out for that soon. The Black Magic Essentials 101 Class 2, second class. We'll start that back up. I don't have a date for that. I'm looking possibly late September at the Journey to Black Adam Conference. Anyway, if you need to reach out to me, my contact email address, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, the direct link to my Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes, or any other information you might need. All that information is available in the description box of this video you're watching right now. All right, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully this helped a little bit. Infernal blessings, and we'll talk soon.